This episode of the podcast is brought to you by the UK's #1 coral selling website, prestigereef.co.uk and reefdork.etsy.com for all your 3D printed aquarium accessory needs. What's up, YouTube? Oh, Ryan hasn't been able to fix it.
I am here, but I've not been able to fix it in time.
Ryan had a problem with his microphone. It fell off his stand or something. I don't know what's going on, but
it's fallen off. So I'm just slowly screwing it back together, basically.
Okay, so, well, we're all enjoying the screwing noises from your microphone.
Well, that's all right. I've actually gone really red as well. So when I go on the camera, you'll see that I'm like, because I'm flustered. Right.
Well, I'm gonna answer someone's question whilst you sort it out. So Techers Reef says, give it to, I'll answer this. Hi Alex, I've just a quick question, if you don't mind. I've got a Red Sea Reefer 350 with a Deltec 20 watt UV flow rate, maximum 1,000 litres per hour. But for pests, should it be 500 pump or maximum or max at max? What? I don't really understand. Basically, what's the flow rate? So I would run it as, if it's for parasites, you want it slower because parasites are bigger. So run it relatively slowly, but follow the guide from Deltec. I think I've got a feeling it says what the rate is, what the recommended rate is. But I would run it slow for parasites. But there's probably better placed people to ask than me, to be honest. So, but that's what I would do. Right, Ryan.
Yes.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Good. What are we talking about today? Because if I'm honest, I don't really understand.
Even after I spoke to you, you still don't understand.
Okay. A little bit. Tell me.
Okay. Basically, with regards to the main topic is, I can't even explain it. Basically, does the price of fish matter? And the reason I was thinking, it's probably better to explain why I thought of this. So I have recently put a load of fish into the water box tank, and they include a gem tang, a candy basslet. They include, I've obviously got a king eye already. And I was wondering to myself, why am I buying these specific fish? Because I have a gem tang, which I've had before. And when I had it before, I was like, it's not as nice as some of the other fish I have. So did I buy that because I liked it the most, or did I buy that because it was something that was rare and expensive? Mm-hmm. And then, obviously, unfortunately, that fish, I can't remember what happened. I think that fish died at some point. And then I got, that fish died in the tank wipeout. And then I got another one, even though I knew that the first one I wasn't overly fussed about. So why would I do that? And it's more of like a psychological thing. And I just wondered, firstly, is that something that you do? Is it something that the people in the chat do? Are they buying fish based on, like, is this the prettiest fish? Or are they buying a fish based on its prestige, so to speak?
Yeah. So that's what I thought you were talking about. But because then that's basically the title, which is, are expensive fish more appealing? So as in, do people look at a price tag and go, oh, I want that because it's expensive?
So originally when I said to you, the title, it was going to be, does the price of fish matter? And
yeah, but that didn't make sense, so I changed it.
Okay, well, the reason I picked that as the title was because there is another side to it as well. Like, do you put more effort in for fish that are more expensive than if... So, for example, if the king eye was ill, and am I getting, like, ripping the whole tank apart to get it out and put into quarantine and treat it on day one? Whereas if it's something which is a bit more common, would people, like, I don't know, like a convict tang, for example, are you going to be putting the same amount of effort in for that? Which is why the title doesn't apply to that bit, if you see what I mean. That's why I mentioned the title. All
right, well, we'll get into that later, but for now, I've had a mental week, the busiest week of my life, in some of it in reefing, but just other stuff as well. I haven't stopped. But what have you been up to?
Right. What have I been up to? I always find this a bit hard because if you don't think about it, like my weeks don't have like a start and end to them. The only consistent part of my week is this. Everything else is like, so sometimes I have people on a Saturday to come visit, or on a Sunday. So I work every day to some extent, if you see what I mean. But so with regards to so I'm shipping corals again. So that was actually I looked forward to that, because I had almost got a little bit like bored not being able to do it, because like when you sit at home, there's only so much sitting at home that you can do, if you see what I mean. So I've gone back to shipping corals. I have also had an order of corals. So I had my first coral shipment in.
Anything noteworthy?
So none of those are on the website yet. None of those the website will start to change as of next week. So all of the corals came in last week. I need to process them, cut them up, take pictures of them, put them on the website. I have some big pieces, some small pieces. So that's what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. What I need to do for the company is I need to have a routine. And I am no longer going to be shipping corals on a Monday. Monday is now going to be sort of my maintenance day and my photo taking day, and like processing any corals that come in. So I'm gonna try and stick to that, because then if I do that, I believe I will be far more efficient than if I just do it on random sporadic days, because then it gives me something to specifically focus on, which means the website will get updated a lot more often.
Okay.
The other thing that I have been doing is as I've mentioned previously, I've just started to sell fish, and I absolutely love it. Like
you like the keeping the fish part.
That's the problem. So I bought a fish system for quarantine. That system is now empty, or it was empty, and I have just started to put fish into it to sell, basically. And I didn't think I would have this feeling, but every fish is like, they're so different. Fish are not all the same, and it might sound like an obvious thing to say, but I've never had a pair, for example, of a male and female pair of triggerfish, and I put them in there and I just sit and watch all the new fish for hours, because it's like having new fish all the time. And then some people come and buy them and they take them, and obviously then they go away, and then eventually I'll replace them with other fish. But I get to have so many fish that I would never normally get to have experience with. And I realized that I am definitely a fish person. I am 100% a fish person.
I could have told you that.
Way more than a coral person. It's funny because the fish of the week is always easy for me to do, usually. And the coral of the week is actually really hard for me to do. So I've got a fish of the week this week.
Despite
I haven't got a coral of the week.
Sell fish. Yeah, so it's funny because I actually said that. No doubt you will have watched my my video, Ryan, because you watch all my stuff, because you're my biggest fan.
Of course, you know me.
But I said that in the video this week. So I found that for the last 3 months, obviously, I've had no fish in the tank. And my corals, I've got some absolutely banging corals, and they look fantastic. They're all really healthy. And some of them in particular are really, really nice, like nicer than corals I've had in the past, much nicer.
Yeah.
And yet I've just found myself, I'm bored of the tank. And as soon as you get the fish in, and I've kind of realized that I'm more of a fish man than I thought I was, because just the interaction of feeding them, and then they come over and they're inquisitive and they can see you and all these sorts of things. It's totally different. Like if it was just corals only, I don't think I'd be interested in it.
They add like a soul to the tank, if you see what I mean, because like it's hard to describe, but like corals don't do a lot usually. They usually just do this, even the ones that move just do the same thing backwards and forwards. But with fish, they really are like you start to, and I have a problem with freshwater fish, because they have lost their soul a little bit, because a lot of them are tank bred, so they don't.
I'm not sure a lot of them ever had a soul though either.
Well, I don't know. You never know.
Because like on the reef, it's this fiercely competitive environment where every square inch is fought over. Yeah. Whereas in a river, it's not quite the same thing.
And I agree with what you're saying. I don't know. Someone, because there are some freshwater fish which are wild caught still. So if anyone in the chat keeps wild caught freshwater fish, I'd be interested to know. Because that, like when you go into a maidenhead and you put your finger on the glass, all the guppies come over to your finger. If you put your finger on the glass for a yellow tang, it will disappear.
Yeah.
And it's far more natural. And that's what, like, so adding the fish to the water box tank recently has created a lot more natural behavior. Like the tangs are eating off the rock. For some reason, when there was just one or a couple of tangs in there, they didn't have any natural behavior. I have no idea why. When I added the coal tang, which eats all the glass and all the rocks and everything, the other fish will now follow it around and join it.
Oh, that's a good idea. I'll try that. Yeah. Okay.
I almost wonder if it's like disturbing. It's disturbing the filamus algae that's growing on the glass, which means some of it is like hanging off, and then the other tanks can get the little strands of it. So yeah, that's
the one thing with that. So, would you ever have a fish only tank? Bearing in mind, you've just said you really like coral fish and you don't like corals.
I would have said no. I would have said no originally, but I had the water box tank as a fish only tank for months, and it never bothered me. I was quite happy.
But you were never excited by it, were you?
No, but
although I guess you didn't have, like, if you were going fish only, you'd have awesome fish, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you'd get like all these emperor angels and stuff, like some really cool fish in there. Whereas I think it had like 6 fish in there. It was a yellow tang. Obviously, the king eyes was a cool fish, but there wasn't loads of fish in there. So, I don't think I would, but I don't think I would. But if it was done properly, like with puffer fish and things like that, I think it probably would be cool.
The reason I ask is because I find, say, the corals when they're just on their own, they are a little bit boring. But then when there's fish in there, for some reason, suddenly they're mesmerizing again, and you're like, the colors are incredible and the movement is fantastic, and there's just something about. So I don't think I would want to have either. I kind of like the idea of a fish only tank, because then you can have some awesome fish, but I think I'd be bored of it as well. I think it has to be the two of them.
I don't think I could have if the only tank in the house was a fish only tank. I don't think I could have it, because the corals and having put the corals in now, which I'm telling you, people are worried way too much about putting angelfish in reef tanks. Like, they have not touched a single thing other than the trackies, which like I can give up trackies, if you see what I mean. If I can have a whole garden of Euphilia and Goniastria and Alveopora and Goniopora, and they're not touching anything, then I don't know. Look, you told me like about 3 weeks ago, like, you look forward to being smug when I put those fish in, and so far it hasn't happened yet, has it?
Not yet, but it's. I mean, that's a couple of weeks. Come back to me in a year's time.
Yeah, but if you put food in there, they eat it straight away, and they ate the gonnies straight away.
Yeah, but how many times do you read stories? And I've had this before, where I've had a fish in there, getting on no problem, absolutely fine, doing all the things he should do, not touching anything, and then suddenly he wakes up and you're like, that acan looks bloody delicious. I'm going to eat that.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But to be fair, I still think about, because angels are awesome, and I went to part of because so I'm just going to digress away from that briefly. Part of why I've been so busy this week, so in my personal life, apart away from fish stuff, this week we've had builders, electrician, plumber, painter, decorator and a guy to collect a car, and I had to go to the dentist to get a crown fitted, and I went to a comedy gig on Friday night. That was my week, all in the space of 5 days. So like, my brain has just been frazzled. I've had far too much stuff going. I like chilled, not really doing anything, just doing work or sitting by the tank. So just had a million things going on. But one of the things, and this weekend as well, has been the same. So this whole weekend I've had no time just to chill. So yesterday I did a 300-mile round trip, went to Norwich to pick up a coral.
You're insane. You're literally insane.
I know. And then today I've been out filming a guy's tank over in who's 2-hour round trip away.
I saw that.
It's a really nice tank to be fair. I'm looking forward to that. And but anyway, I'll come back onto that. But the 300-mile round trip to get that coral. So I didn't take a photo of it.
That's what I was about to say. Have you got a picture of this coral? You must have a picture somewhere of this coral, even if it's from the messages originally.
The guy sent me a photo, but the reason I wanted to mention that in the first place was because I saw this guy's tank, and if I do a round trip like this, I should take my camera with me, because actually I would have quite liked to video his tank. Yeah. But there's no way I'm going back, because it's 6 hours in the car, So, but he had a Regal Angel. I think it was about a 3 foot 3x2x2 roughly. I think it wasn't quite those dimensions, but that size. So not a massive tank, but a reasonable size. He had a Regal Angel and a Flame Angel. And he had it was a mixed reef, but there was a lot of LPS. There was a trachea that he said had just started getting pecked. Yeah. But he had chalices, he had gunnies, he had blastos, and they weren't getting touched. So my reservations with angels really is acans, trachees, scullies, blastos.
You've just
Those
listed
kind of fleshy.
blastos are fine, as in I've got blastos in the water box at the moment. It's fine, but the other ones. But as you're listing those off, literally in my head, I was going, "Don't care." Other than trackies, I was going, "Don't care, don't care, don't care." As in, I'd rather have the fish.
Yeah, but what I am thinking is I could get a Regal Angel because Regal Angels are just so cool. And then if he does start going at my Scully, I could move the Scully into the Cade.
Yeah, there's a few
or the tracking or whatever,
like little tiny tank bred ones knocking around. That whether that will make a difference, I don't know. Probably not. It's like an instinctive thing. I think they just go around pecking the rocks and then see what tastes nice. But yeah, I think one of the things that I have realized is there is some information which I believe is now to some extent outdated, and angelfish is definitely one of them, because everyone goes, "Oh, don't get a lemon peel or a bicolor. They'll definitely eat your corals." Or I think that they will probably eat 4 or 5 species of corals, and the rest of them they'll be fine with. So it's not like you can have no. Like let's put it, if I had a shop and someone wanted to buy a bicolor angel, I'd go, look, there is a potential this might eat some corals. Like acans are riskier than frog spawns, for example. I had loads of people when I put the video out say, "Oh, it's gonna eat all your frog spawns, eat all your hammers, and I was just like, well, I saw Christian's tank, who's got probably more angels that I could eat, like even possible than I'll have in my entire life in it, and they don't touch hammers or frog spawns. Torches, yes, they'll eat them, but not those. So I'm pretty confident with that. But the people that were saying they're going to eat them, do they have the experience, or is that just something they've been told?
The thing is, so you've so far you've had a good start. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But the reality is that if you do Googling, it doesn't take long before you find 5, 10, 15 people who've had, and they don't just, it's not like, so the corals I'm worried about, they are probably the most at risk. But I say my what's it called? What was the beaky guy with the streamer called?
Moorish Idol.
Moorish Idol.
Yeah.
He was going for chalices, the maze coral, weird corals. Like, why are you doing that? So that it's a risk basically. But with I was thinking actually the other day I was thinking it would be really cool to have an acro tank and just have a load of butterflies and angels in there. You wouldn't see your polyps, which would upset me as a stickhead. But it would be cool.
It would be cooler than most, probably like 99% of tanks that you see on the internet, I reckon. And the reason it would be cool is because whenever you see something that other people that are pushing the boundaries and doing something that other people aren't doing, you go, if it's like the first day, like me, and you're putting angelfish in it, and it's like you're right, they could go wrong, they could go rogue at any moment. But if it's like in a fully established reef tank where like you can see it's years old and all the corals are fully grown out, then it looks cool.
Like Viking Reef with
that's exactly the one I was thinking.
Green spot filefish. He's got a Moorish Idol. He's got a copper band. Various others. There's a filefish. They're so cool.
I believe he was even doing something with like obligated coralivores as well.
He started that recently. Yeah,
I know he had. I believe he had some issues.
I was going to say, I feel like he had. I don't normally watch like reels, like videos on Instagram, but I was watching one the other day. Oh no, he uploaded it on YouTube. That's why. And he was talking. I can't remember what it was now, but he'd had a few problems.
Yeah.
I feel like it was a tank wipeout, like a disease. I can't remember.
I think it was. I think it was a disease. Yeah.
Same as you and me, but I can't remember. But he had issues. But that orange spot filefish in particular. Oh man, a pair of those would be so cool. But yeah, he does stuff that you don't see every day.
Yeah. The interesting thing is I had exactly the same feeling as you with regards to the angels. I thought I am 99% sure that some of these corals, whether it would be the candy canes or the Duncan's corals or like the war coral, some of like the fleshy, and war corals not that fleshy, but like some of the fleshier ones, I thought they would be retracted just because they've been pecked. Nothing. I have been pleasantly surprised to the extent where I'm now going, what else can I add?
Yeah. The only thing with that, so one thing I find when I've got a fish in the tank that is reef safe with caution,
Yeah.
Whether it's an angelfish or a copper band or even my rabbit fish, it's on my mind. So every time if I see a coral that's like sulking, I'm like, is that being pecked at? And it's even if it's not, I think about it, and it's like it's living rent free up in my head. And
Nah.
that so I find myself constantly thinking, oh, I wonder, do I need to fish the coral out and save
The
it?
difference is I have somewhere for the coral to go. None of these fish are tiny. Some of them like the size of your thumbnail. So they're not going to decimate a coral. Like they didn't decimate their trackies. They just closed up and I put them into the coral farm and now they're fine. Whereas I know you have 2 tanks, but with a lot of people they have 1 tank. So
even then, I mean, the one thing I've got ulvar algae in my main tank, and it's so actually you couldn't really see it before the white spot breakout, but now it's everywhere because there's been no fish in there, and I wouldn't want to transfer that into my my cade tank. So I don't want to move corals between the 2 tanks because if I get ulvar in the cade, I can't really put a tang in there, so it's a problem. Where in the main tank, I don't really care. And to be fair as well, when it's gone, it's not an issue, and I won't have a problem with it. But when it's everywhere, it's like, so. Yeah,
because it's one of those things where it's the same as having a copper band with Aptasia. Once the fish is in there, you don't care that it's in there because you never see it. It's only once the fish are taken out that it comes back. So that reminds me, you're like, hey, do you want this hammer coral? And I'm like, how much ulvar's on that hammer coral?
I don't think there's any on it. I'll have a look, but I don't think there's any on it. Most of the corals don't have it on it. So if there's something with a frag plug on it, it's probably got something on it. But
okay, so
give it a couple of months and it will be clear anyway. But
with regards to the new fish, which I'm considering, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. Is it like Venatus?
Venustus?
I don't know.
Venustus.
Those look pretty cool. And I know that I don't.
You've just got one of these.
No, I haven't got one. But they're not centropygi, so they're not the small like so. Flame angels are centropygi.
Centropygi venusta.
Well, that is para so they're the larger ones, I believe. I think it's
Wikipedia, which, as we all know, is 100% factual, says centropygi. But I did think, here we go. Yeah. I was going to say I did see it. Paracentropygi venusta, according to Reef to Reef, which is probably a more reliable source of information.
So that's the same type as the multi-bar angel. So they're so slightly larger.
So a big dwarf angel.
Yes. Yeah. They're the bigger ones. And I just think it's a cool fish. My favorite of the dwarf angels, which is weird, is the multicolor. Like I don't know, it's probably the least colorful, cool. the least interesting one. Like I've got a flame, but which is like super bright, and I've got a flame back or a fireball.
These are bad photos. Yours, he in the flesh, that looks boring to me, but in the flesh, he looks cool. I think yours.
It's super bright. That white under the blue lights is like super bright.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm considering one of those Venustris. It's not good that I want a fish that I can't pronounce.
Yeah, but who cares about the science? No.
But yeah, that's one of the ones I'm considering. Although I'm dialing back on fish now. I'm like, I've just put a load in. I just need a mental break from fish. And some of the fish I put in the water box, I'm now like, I'm not sure how I feel about that fish. Like I put a Nasso tank in there, and it's fine, but it's quite big, and the tank looks quite busy now. So I'm thinking, do I really want a Nasso tank in there? Maybe not. So I might catch that and then put it into the sail tank. I can just keep swapping fish out, can't I?
Yeah.
Got to quarantine them all first, though. That's the problem.
Let's not talk about quarantine. Put me in a bad mood. I hate it.
I'm quite impulsive, and the bad thing about having all those tanks is I will end up buying something. I kind of half did it. I bought a Paso angelfish to resell, which they're cool, but that's not like a really popular fish that like everyone would want. But one of the fish that I'm really, really tempted by that I've never had, I've always wanted a frogfish. Always wanted a frogfish. Okay.
You used to like Moki's frogfish, right?
Yeah. But
which color do you want?
I've seen so the white and red ones, which is what Moki had. are probably my favorite one. But I've seen some really, really bright red ones. None of the, there's a sort of a bright red one in the middle there. Yeah, that one. So that one's quite cool. But sometimes you see them and they're like the size of your like little fingernail, and I'm just like, what are they feeding them?
Yeah, the size of that mouth.
Those are one of the things where like that is not a fish that someone's going to buy readily, if you see what I mean. That's like a very, very acquired taste. But it's the sort of thing
it's a fish that won't suit most tanks.
Yes, but it's the sort of thing that I would buy for myself just to go. I got five tanks in that system, so I can dedicate an entire tank to that fish.
Yeah.
But it also will be a pain in the ass because they don't eat readily. They're not. They usually need live food,
right?
And the other thing, they eat sort of like frozen silver sides. Like if you get a big enough one. So do I want to be getting a fish out of the freezer to defrost? And it's not like mice where you can just pop it out, can't you?
Yeah.
And then you got to like wiggle it in front of it to see if it'll eat it. I don't know. So, and I'm not. I know Moki used to feed it live food. That fish was so interesting because there was one damselfish, you remember, that it wouldn't eat.
I don't think I used to watch those videos.
Oh, you never watched it? That I followed it like closely, that series, because, and I think a lot of people did, to go, has it eaten that damselfish? But so I think what happened with it originally, we really have got off a tangent.
Just quickly, when you type into YouTube inappropriate, the first suggestion is inappropriate touching.
Nice. I'm
clicking past that.
That's the algorithm for your internet history, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
Moki's his frogfish, I think, I can't remember properly, but he might have put 3 damselfish in, and 2 of them were the appropriate size for it to eat, and 1 of them was too big for it to eat, so it never ate it. And then as it grew bigger and bigger, it never realized that it could eat the bigger one.
Right, yeah.
So in the end, he named it, and I believe that fish outlived the frogfish.
Okay.
So it was, but as I said, I don't want to be feeding live food to it. And you should be feeding live saltwater fish as well. They're not like it's not like you can get a goldfish and feed it, which are like cheaper. I know it sounds terrible that you go, it's a goldfish. No, because if you're feeding freshwater fish to saltwater fish, it's not good for them.
What, like biologically, like diet?
It gives them fatty liver disease, and then they die. So,
okay.
But people used to feed goldfish to lionfish.
It feels cruel as well. I know it's just there's no difference between freezing.
There is a difference with regard. People go, "Oh, they eat fish in nature." Yeah, in nature, it's a fair fight. The other fish has a chance to get away.
Yeah.
So I know what you mean. I just don't like the idea of doing it.
Yeah.
So,
totally.
Would I be tempted if I could get one that was eating frozen food? Possibly, but we'll see.
Anything else you've been up to?
No, I've done my allotted 28 minutes. I feel like I've filled my space in for you.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about more. So I've told you a little bit about what I've been up to. Just basically manic. I've not had a second to sit down. But the other things. Oh yeah, this was brilliant. So I bought. You're going to love this, Ryan. You're going to absolutely love this.
I doubt it. Every time you say that, I don't love it.
I bought 2 Jekod powerheads, the ALW20s, which are basically knockoffs of the AI Nero 5s. Because in the K tank, I have 2 AI Nero 5s, but I want the wave mode that you don't care about. I want that in there, so I've done that. But before I've had them, they arrived like 3 or 4 days ago. But I've been waiting. I didn't want to install them because of my because there was a battle that was going on, right? So I said a few weeks ago, I said, what causes algae? And you said stupid things like lighting and nutrients, which is obviously wrong, right?
Yes.
And it turns out,
like I'd say stupid things.
It turns out the real answer was moving your power head, because I'd moved the cable, and then suddenly the snails couldn't get to it, so there was green hair algae all over it.
Yeah.
And I moved it back, and so snails could get to it, but the only snails that could get to it were the dovetails, the tiny dovetails. I saw that. Yeah, and I've been waiting for it to finish it because it was covered, and I saw one day a week or so ago, I was like, there's a patch missing, and there was a dove snail on it. I was like, he must be eating it. and I've been waiting for him to finish it. And actually, there were 2 in the end, but today, as of today, he's completely stripped it, and that thing was covered, and it took him 4 days, 5 days, something like that, completely stripped it back, so it's completely gone.
It's impressive if you think about it for something so small.
It's amazing. There were 2 of them, to be fair. There might have been more that obviously like come in during the night that I didn't see or whatever, but there was a ton. It was so much in there, and they've completely demolished it. Wicked.
Are they breeding in your tank? Do you have
loads? I don't have loads actually, and given that there've been no fish in that tank for a while, I thought the population might have grown a bit, but I've got some, and I've got some in the main tank. I've had at times in the past the population goes crazy. I've not really got that at the moment, so I don't know why. I've got enough algae in the main tank, I can tell you that much. So
because I like some people think they're a pest. I don't think they're a pest. I actually like dove snails.
That was really the point of that post.
Yeah,
was because people often say they're a pest because you get so many of them, but it's just another mouth to eat algae.
Did you get my message on Instagram when you posted that and I replied saying, "Oh, save one for me" or something? And I mean it. Like if you've got some, I'll have some.
So I don't really have many. If there'll be a point when
I see how it is. I see how it is. You can't even spare one for me.
No, there'll be a point when the population explodes.
Yeah,
and I'll fish them out. But in the past, I'd be like, if I take my MP40 out to clean it, there's like 4 or 5 of them on, and I'll just rinse them off and push them down the sink. Sorry.
Yeah.
So because I've just got so many, but at the moment there don't seem to be many. But yeah, I'll fish them out.
That's the problem. I just remember they go into pumps, don't they?
Yeah, and
that's the downside. Okay, maybe I don't want them. We'll see.
But they're wicked. They've done really, really well. But now I can swap those powerheads over. Other things. So I did bubble tip anemones, Ryan.
Okay, where are we going with this?
Another one. So I think I've got 2 in there now. And another one, I had 3 big ones. One of them popped off and just disappeared around the tank, and I had to rescue it from the powerhead.
Yeah.
And I heard that's happened again. Another one's popped off and it's moved to a different spot on the rockwork. And I'm kind of now hoping I'd like them to stay in place. If they can just sit there and play nice, great. But if you can't sit there and play nice, I'm kind of hoping they all pop off, and I can fish them out and take them to my LFS or whatever, or sell them on Ultimate Reef or something. Because then I can do something else with it, because they're just doing my head in now. It's like they just won't sit still.
But have you tested the water?
Yeah. Well, so the salinity went up a little bit. It was 36 parts per thousand when 35 is where it should be. But
yeah.
Is that really?
I just wondered why all of a sudden have they started to all let go? That suggests to me there's something they don't like in there.
Yeah. I got no idea. There's been no fish in there for a while, but the nutrients have dropped down a little bit, but not massively.
There's still some.
I can't explain it with and everything else. Magnesium and calcium are more or less perfect. Alkalinity. Actually, I've not tested alkalinity for a couple of weeks, to be fair, but it's always been pretty stable. And I'd be surprised if it's off, and I'd be surprised.
You'll be like 2, and you'll be like, okay, maybe this is great.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. I'm going. I don't know what the problem is, and I haven't tested alk. So, I mean, actually, I'm thinking, when did I last test alk? Because it can't be that long ago. But they're doing my nutting. But I've got fish back in the main tank, and that's the main thing. That's the headline. And it's just so good. It's just so good having fish in the tank. 8.7 a month ago, and it's always pretty stable in that tank, so I doubt
you haven't checked alkalinity for a month.
No.
Wow.
I don't care.
Every week, religiously, every single week, I will manually test it.
Yeah.
So you haven't got a huge amount of corals, but the only reason I would assume that you probably would is because if there's no fish in there, your nutrients will probably change, which means your alkalinity will change as well.
This is true, and I have tested a few times over the last couple of months. Where was it before? But 8.7, 9.1, 7.5, 9.2, weirdly. But it's generally all right. The nutrients have dropped because the phosphate was really high, to be fair. But I don't know.
One of the nice things about this stream is that we expose ourselves as normal people. Like I probably used the wrong choice of words there. You could, but we're
not whiter than white. We don't do everything perfect all the time. This is
and it's good for people to hear that you haven't checked your alkalinity for a month, because there'll be other people going, I haven't checked mine for a month either. Maybe I should do it.
That's not a good thing. Yeah,
No, I know.
It's not behavior I'm trying to encourage.
No, I know, but you understand what I mean. It's like things
you should feel guilty about not testing your
Yeah, you definitely should feel guilty.
Yeah.
You should know better.
But to be fair as well, I do 25% water changes once a week, once a fortnight, and that levels stuff off as well. So I think it's unlikely to go crazy. But yeah, so it's just, but fish back in the tank, it's just so good.
Yeah,
it's just so good. And I've now got 8 fish in the quarantine tank as well.
Straight back in there.
Straight back in, yeah. And so I don't know. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with those in terms of treatment. I think I'm going to do 14 days of copper, and I'm definitely going to do what's it called, metronidazole, because I've got 2 clownfish in there.
Okay, what are the eight fish?
2 clownfish, naked clownfish.
Yeah.
2 yashigobies, a pair of yashigobies. That's 4. Yellow wrasse.
Yeah.
Scarlet hawkfish, geometric pygmy perchlet, and a pictus blenny. So I don't think there's anything in there that's sensitive. Is that what you're asking?
No, I was just intrigued. I was just interested in what they were. I'm sure other people were interested as well, because you're like, I've got 8 new fish, and everyone's going, what are they?
Tell me what they are. Yeah. Yeah. But there's colour. Actually, 4 of them, the yashigobies and the clowns are going in the cade. So suddenly the cade will be fully stocked.
Yeah.
It should be brilliant.
The pictus blenny, they are just like,
you love yours, do you?
I love it so much. It's just got such great character, and I see it all the time going around like pecking the rocks and like scraping them. And that's a fish I would never ever would have bought. Never. Like, I'm like, that is an ugly brown thing that doesn't move when it's in like a normal tank, like in a shop tank, I mean. But in a display tank, they just have, I think of all the fish that went in there, that's probably the least that I expected from, like I had the lowest opinion of, and it's like at the top basically. And it was hardly anything in comparison to some of the other ones. So
but every tank should have a blenny. It's always to it.
True. Or in my case, 3 blennies.
Yeah. Oh, you got 3.
Yeah, got 3.
Wait, so you got the blenny, you've got the pictus, you've got the red spot,
and a gold streak, and they're fine. They don't. There's no fighting. Never not seen one.
It's a big tank, to be fair. It's 1,000 litres, 6 foot by 2.5 foot by 2 foot, but still.
But they all live together. They literally, yeah. It's not like they're trying to like get away from each other. You know, my rockscape is like 2 halves, isn't it?
Yeah.
They literally have all settled pretty much. Like they swim around a bit, but they have all settled on one half of the tank.
Interesting.
Weirdly, it's half with no coral in it.
Yeah, okay. I'll be interested to see how they do long term. But I've always thought that, especially is it Essensius, the comb tooth blennies, the same genus. I've always assumed that they would scrap.
I don't actually know what the genuses of these blennies are, if I'm honest. Like, unless you want to have a quick look, because I'm interested.
Why not? So Pixis is Essensius. What was the other one? Gold.
The gold streak. Gold stripe.
Streak blenny. That is a Essensius.
And the other
what
one
was the other one?
Flymo blenny.
Flymo blenny, which is Blenniella. That's ridiculous. So that is a different genus, but you've got 2 Essensius blennies in there.
Yeah, those are actually the most peaceful ones. The meanest one is the Flymo. But what's interesting is it's mean to other fish.
Big fish.
It's not, but it's not mean to the other blennies.
Yeah, okay.
I'm considering a bicolor as well. I've got too many big fish in there now. I need little fish to sort of fill in the gaps. And
yeah, totally.
That's what, like, someone said to me, like, what makes a good reef tank is that whatever angle you look at it, it's like something different pops up. And that's what the little fish do for you. They give it that character.
Things like the geometric pygmy perchlet. One of the reasons I like them so much is you only really see them maybe 20% of the time.
Yeah.
And so it's a treat. So you can have, and I've had it before where I've had friends around who don't know the tank or whatever and not into reefing, and they'll be looking at the tank for like 5 minutes, and then suddenly he'll peep out and they'll be like, oh wow. And I love that when there's little just layers, and it's not just like you see everything instantly. There's little things creeping out, and starfish and serpent stars and shrimp and crabs and the works. But yeah, you want more smaller fish.
Yeah.
What else is on your list? Have you got a in your head?
No, I'm too impulsive now these days.
Yeah.
The difference is, so I do not recommend anyone makes impulse buys without knowing what like that fish is actually like to look after. The problem is when you have enough knowledge that you are past that bit. So I know if a powder blue tang's there, I know that if I'm going to get one of those, it's probably going to be a pain. So whereas some people get one and then are surprised when it's a pain and it's aggressive or it gets white spot. So I never originally when I first started, I was never impulsive at all. Like I would see a fish, I would go away, I'd come back. I probably pissed off loads of fish shops because I'm like, I want that fish. Can you just hold it for me? I just want to go do some research because it's different now because obviously you can look on.
Do
your
they
phone
not tell you to sod off?
No, don't know. No, I'm still No, I don't think so.
Okay. Because if I ask, they'll say, "So we can't really hold it."
No, but I wasn't asking them to reserve it. I would literally just go, "Look, I really like that fish, and if it sells, then it's fine.
Yeah,
someone else
Oh,
buys
fine.
It. But if not, I'll be back tomorrow once I've gone home.
Oh, that's fine.
And because back then you sort of went on Ultimate Reef to go, well, what do you think of like what do I need to be aware of with a pygmy perchlet? Because a lot of learning was from books back then. There wasn't the like all the websites and stuff that we have now that makes it a lot easier. But that was good because I would then go home, think about it. Do I really want this fish? Whereas now I'm like, oh, that fish is all right. I'll get that. And then I take it. And then sometimes I get home and I go, did I actually want that? Or did I buy that for a different reason? Which is again leads onto the main topic of this.
So we should do a video, a live stream where we talk about. People love talking about fish. So we should talk about fish, and we should choose 5 fish each, like a best 5 character fish or whatever. And we go into them in a bit more detail.
Fish that I've been disappointed with, fish that would never like that I thought that would be the most amazing fish, and then I got one, and I was like, actually, either it caused me loads of hassle, like someone had a tank breakdown and I had to take their Achilles. I would never buy an Achilles. They're crazy prices, and they're one of those fish which is really quite like temperamental. I know some people go, oh, they're easy if you quarantine them. Well, back then I wasn't quarantined, so I don't know, but that was my experience. And it was beautiful on day one. Then it sort of went a bit like faded, because you know how sometimes you see them in the shops and they're not like black, they're more like grey coloured, aren't they? Or like a really like dark.
I'm not sure I'd say grey, but they're not pitch black.
You look at them and you go, that doesn't look like a healthy one. And then,
I see. Oh no, I've not seen anything like that. Okay.
No, well, you do. I think you have. When you said you doesn't look that pitch black color is what I'm talking about. But you like,
okay.
I put it in and I was just like, it's not. It doesn't do it. It's not that. And then because it's so expensive, you start to worry about it, and it like ruins the experience of having the fish.
Yeah.
So, and like one of my customers had one, and I literally was like, you don't want this fish. Like, you don't want to have this fish. And they're like, no, I do want to have this fish. I'm like, no, trust me, you don't want to have this fish. And I got a message yesterday and he went and it's got white spot. And I'm like, that's what comes with it. I told him before that, like he prepared, he was actually putting white spot treatment in the tank before he got it to prepare, like to try to like, and it's feeding and everything. I'm sure he won't mind me talking about it, but it's just like, it's one of those fish where you go on day one, you're like, oh, this is great. And then by a week later, you're like, oh, it's got white spot.
So sometimes, though, I think you've got to, even though, like I was talking to the reef keeper about this today, there are some times when you get told it's a bad idea, but you've just got to try it. And actually, there's no better way of learning than making mistakes.
Yeah.
And so I actually don't necessarily mind that. Sometimes it might feel like, just don't do it. You know that's not going to work out. But I don't mind if people try, especially like this guy's gone in with his eyes wide open. He's done his research. Actually tried to do things to prepare for it. And it just hasn't worked. Because there are plenty of people who have success with them. You know.
Yeah. The fish is still fine. It's still eating everything. It's just more like it's that anxiety that it gives you.
That's the thing,
ruins the experience of having it.
When it goes wrong, suddenly it's like, I hate this.
Yes.
But then if it pulls through,
It's great.
You start to feel better. Yeah.
It's like a character arc because it goes like, and then down.
Yeah.
So all the time, like sometimes people will come to me and they'll go, or especially in like the consultations, they go, I really want a powder blue tank. And I'm like, they really, really are a bad idea. Like they really, really are. And I go, you're going to quarantine? They go, no. And I'm going, well, like it's a really, really bad idea.
Yeah.
So, but you're right. People have to do it because otherwise it was just in their head all the time going, oh, I do want that.
Yeah.
So,
and to be fair, if you do enough research, you'll find the trouble is when you do research, when you really want something, you'll see 5 things that say it's a bad idea, then 2 people that say it's a good idea, and you ignore all the bad things. So you kind of you it's difficult to be unbiased when you're looking when you want something and you want to see the good stuff about it. Because you're thinking, I know there's some bad stories, but I just need a couple and then that's enough.
I was exactly like that when I had the 1,000-liter tank. And I was like, I can put a majestic angel in here. I'm sure it'll be fine. Immediately starts eating the mushrooms and everything. But you're right. You Google it, and there's loads of people have majestics in reef tanks. Loads of people. But they don't tell you what corals they're keeping that majestic with.
See, that's the dangerous thing. Sometimes you'll see a photo of a butterfly fish or an angel or whatever in a reef tank, and you're like, that's amazing, I'm going to do it. And you don't know that fish might have been in there for half an hour. It might have been in there for 6 months and it's eating all his corals or whatever, So, but sometimes that's enough to make you think I'm going to do
it. Because it gives you like 5% of the information, and you don't have the other 95% of what's in the tank.
Yeah.
So, does it get fed every second of every day, so it's too full to eat the corals? Or
the guy's tank I went to see today, the fish was so fat, so thick, and like he makes his own fish food, and he puts it in these fish, smoked salmon, scallops, the works basically, and he puts it in ice cube trays, and then he feeds like a block of an ice cube sized block of food every day, which must be like the equivalent of 7 or 8 cubes of frozen. And there's no like water in that. It's pure food. So they are, and the fish are fat, really like the way they look on the reef, like the way they should be probably.
Did they tell you what their nutrient? Were?
No, phosphate was okay, 0.1.
Okay,
but nitrates were 40, so quite high. But to be fair,
that is weird. If it's that, no, 0.1 is still high, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's okay. But he runs a lot of filtration, so he's got an algae scrubber, he's got a skimmer, he's got phosphate reactor, and I think something else as well, but I can't remember what it was. Biopellets, maybe? I can't remember.
People usually have issues with keeping the phosphate down, not keeping the nitrate down. That's why I said it was weird. But
yeah.
Apparently, the type of food that you feed, came from BRS, I can't even remember what it was, affects one or the other more.
Yeah, so some dry foods, if you look at what's in food, is it ash content that is I think if it's got a high ash content, that's an indicator that it's got high phosphate. So if you actually look at the dry food you get, if you've got something with high ash content, it's going to have high phosphate. But if you did, a lot of people who feed really heavily don't do enough to export it. Guy, you'll watch the video when it's around. He exports it properly. He doesn't mess around. He's got a lot of filtration. If you do that and you change GFO regularly and you run an algae scrubber that's really effective and he does water changes and that sort of stuff. So if you do that, you can be okay. You can feed a ton. I think I'm too lazy for that. I think if I was going to feed that much, I'd just have like 25 parts per million phosphate, and so. Yeah,
that is a video I probably will watch because I'd be interested to see.
It's going to be about half an hour long, maybe longer.
It's all right.
Cool.
I can handle half an hour of my attention span as long as you don't talk about equipment in any of it.
There's a small amount of equipment, but it's mostly about the tanks. Okay. But on that subject, actually, so I've got a couple more to do. There's a guy I need to message up in Oxford to arrange a tank tour next, and there's a couple of others that I've got in mind. But if you've got a really nice tank and you want me to come and do a video, if you're happy for me to do a video, send me a photo, the best photo you can, to thereefdork@hotmail.co.uk or .com. I can't remember. I'll find out in a sec. And send me a photo of your tank. And ideally, if you're close to me, I'm on it, and I'll be there because I want to do more of these tank tours. Parker's Reef has done loads lately, and I've kind of enjoyed. It's hotmail.com. I've kind of enjoyed.
I like how you don't know your own email address.
I never use it, so. But I want to do more. The only thing is, a lot of them will be miles away, and I don't really want to spend like 10 hours in the car to,
And the other thing is, everyone thinks that their tank is the best tank.
Yeah.
Or not. Well, not really, but you know what I mean. It's like sometimes
you're proud of it. Aren't you?
You're proud of your tank, so you might get.
But that's okay. That's fine.
I'll send you a picture of my tank, but only the Euphilia garden, and I'll go.
No.
I'm happy with this 5% of it.
But worst case scenario, I'll say that's not quite what I'm looking for. So, or I'll put it on a short list or whatever. So if you've got a tank that ideally, if you're close to Surrey, that would help. But wherever you are, if it's nice enough and unique enough or whatever, I'll travel. So because I just want to do more, and I find it interesting trying to listen to the way people do things differently, because everybody does things differently, and there'll be a few. I want to learn. What I really want to do is get a personal database where I've spoken to 100 people, and I can see that they all do 90% of things the same, or they do things different. I want to know what it is that leads to the tanks that I think look really flat. So that's really what it boils down to. And it's good fun talking to fish people at the end of the day.
Yeah. Well, I have just thought of a new goal for me. I will aspire to get the water box into a condition over the next year that it is good enough to be part of your video series.
I would be well up for that.
So I'm a bit shy on camera, so you have to be nice to me.
We'll get work experience, guys. All right.
Yeah, true. Yeah. But I just like it gives me a goal, and it might give other people goals as well. But I think because I think that tank could be quite interesting once it's all full of coral and with all the angelfish and stuff. So I think that it might be unique enough to be worth your video series.
100%. Yeah, I'd do it in a heartbeat, but not yet.
Yeah, not yet. No, it's nowhere near ready. So,
you've been to Southampton. Now come to Scunthorpe. I've been Southampton, but I've never been to Scunthorpe. Do you know what that's a reference to, Ryan?
It's a song, and
there you go.
But I'm not sure what song it is. It's not like a singing song. I don't think it's like
Tiny Temper rap. Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I've never been to Scunne, actually.
Oh yeah, I know what it is now. Yeah, actually, when you said the rap, I'm like, I know what it was. I'm like, it's not really a singing song.
Because the reason I asked that is because you're not really into music.
I don't do music. No, nothing. I'm not really sure what I am into, if I'm honest.
Fish.
Like, pretty much.
So we're going to move on to member questions. Anything else that you've been up to that the people need to know about though first?
Only this will be like 30 seconds. I had and this is because it's useful for people, and I've just remembered it. I had a bacterial bloom on the water box tank after I put the fish in, and I got rid of that black bacterial bloom like almost overnight by putting it's called a mean green machine or something. It's a UV sterilizer. Have you seen them?
I have, yeah.
They are brilliant. They are like, because I have a UV sterilizer on the tank already that goes through like the sump and everything. Wasn't even making a dent. Maybe I need to replace the bulb, but I put that in. I don't know. No, it's just some random. Like if you type in mean green UV sterilizer, it should come up.
Mean green killing machine UV sterilizer. I've typed in. You, which one of these is it?
I think it's. Is it not the first?
To be fair, if it's Seache is a really good. Oh no, that doesn't look like it comes with a pump. So
if you type in mean green UV sterilizer, it comes up. It's Fish of Fun, I think.
Yeah, Fish of Fun. That's this one.
Yeah,
it's got a built-in pump. Yeah,
it just works. It just works. So
the best thing about that, there are so many UV sterilizers that don't have a pump. And a lot of the time, if you need a UV sterilizer, it's because you've got dinos or a bacterial bloom or something, a thing that you need to deal with, but you're not going to have for the life of the tank. It'll be a month or a week or whatever.
Yeah.
And so really, you don't want to have to go through the process of buying a pump, setting it up, plumbing it in, and get all this sort of stuff. You just want to be able to throw it straight in. So the one that's got it, it's got a pump on there already. Yeah. You just put it in, plug it in, done. Job done.
It's brilliant. Right. And So I've got a smaller one. I got a big one for this tank, but I used it at Aqua. I'm wearing the boy because I don't know where the one for Aqua's gone, but they do work. They really, really do work. And so if you have trouble, like the other thing that's interesting, the bacteria outcompeted the dinoflagellates. So I don't know how it's pronounced. Is it dinoflagellates or dinoflagellates? Because we pronounce it differently.
Potato. I don't think it matters.
The bacteria
I say dino
has been knocked back to probably like 30% of what it was because the bacteria outcompeted it. So the downside is it did kill 2 of the acros. So
no way.
I've got loads of them, so it's not a massive problem. But because I can, that's the thing. When you have a coral farm, you just go in and take another one. But
yeah, it's true.
Because all the corals were like sulking, like they did not like the bacterial bloom, and I think it's because they weren't getting enough light for a couple of days. And then I went right, I'm going to deal with this, and I put it in because they can go away on their own. I put it in, and it cleared it up overnight. All corals are happy as anything. So, yeah, as an emergency thing, it will work within 24 hours.
It's handy to have knocking around, just because you can get it plumbed in straight away. When I've had it before and I've had to put one in, I've never got the right size tube. So the tube. So then you've got to go and buy a tube, and then you get back from the fish shop, and you've got the wrong size tube. So you got to go back with the pump and then take it. And it's like, oh god.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah. All right. Question des membres, as they say in France, which is probably not right, but anyway. Member questions.
Okay.
Membre is almost certainly not member.
No. I'm not sure question is question either.
That is, I know that for a fact, but I just don't know about member. Richard Reef says, do conches eat cyano? I recently watched one clear a small patch of cyano on my sand bed and wondered if this was a fluke or expected. I love conches. I think they're absolutely fantastic cleanup crew that literally every tank should have. Yeah. Maybe if you've got like a 5-gallon tank, you shouldn't, but even there, any tank, any normal sized tank absolutely should 100% have at least one conch. I love them. Yeah. I think so. It's similar to cyano. I had what's it called, euglena, which is like, it looks like cyano but it's green, and I put 2 conches in, and that soon after that stuff cleared up. Now I also changed a couple of other things. I sorted the nutrients out and that sort of stuff, so that might have been a coincidence, but it might well have been. And conches, they eat diatoms, they eat all sorts of stuff. They're fantastic. So I don't actually know if they eat cyano, but I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't want to start saying it's a cure to cyano, you know. Reef Dork said they'll eat cyano. But I wouldn't be completely surprised. Because they're just wicked cleanup crew. Have you ever seen them eat that sort of stuff?
I've never seen them eat cyano, so I don't know is the honest answer. It could be a fluke, but just be happy and then sell it to someone who's got a cyano problem for like 10 times the cost.
100 quid. Trevor Henley says, don't buy conches if you have hermit crabs. The bastards eat them. It's if you've got what are they called? Don't buy hermit crabs, exactly. If you've got Halloween hermit crabs, absolutely do not 100% do not put them in with conches, because they will, it's horrible to watch actually. But most hermit crabs actually are okay with or red legs, or the little ones, blue legs, sometimes they get a bit big. It's a risk, but the small ones are fine most of the time. But hermit crabs, they sometimes they're just douchebags, aren't they?
I quite like hermit crabs.
I love them.
I've always advised everyone to go for snails rather than hermit crabs, because they breed and they replenish their population. But in the water box, I've got hermit crabs for some reason.
Yeah, they're just cool.
I just had some spare ones knocking around, and I thought, I'll just put them in there. And did they eat the snails? Yeah, but are they more interested in the snails? Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think snails probably do a better job. I need to increase my cleanup crew in my main tank. I think part of the reason that I've got so much algae is because I've not got enough snails. I did a snail audit the other day, and actually I don't have that. I've a lot of Blackfoot trocher snails, and I've got some others. But I when I tried to count them, and you can never count them because they're hiding, I didn't have anywhere near as much as I thought I did.
Yeah.
So I think
that's why you were so defensive over your dove snails when I asked for one.
Yeah.
Because your audit came back not good for your snails.
Negative. Yeah, exactly. But no, I need more. I don't have many Asterina starfish at the moment either. Very disappointing.
It's interesting.
You hate them.
I actually have pretty much wiped out my population, so much so that I'm actually selling the Harlequin shrimp now, because they can go to someone else.
Totally.
And then as the population builds up, I'll just get another one, and then I'll sell that, and so it's like the ideal situation, because someone always wants them, and because of you, some of my customers probably have got them.
Yeah. I've just Googled what is French for member, and it is membre.
Oh, there you go.
So I was right. Like a broken clock, twice a day. What else was I going to say? Right, so that's member questions. There was only one this week, which means we're on to the Prestige Reef Fish of the Week. And I'm looking at you like that because I know you got a Fish of the Week, but I don't know if you got a Coral of the Week. I don't think you said. But we'll start with Fish of the Week, and we'll see where your inspiration goes.
Okay. For the Fish of the Week this week I'm going for is a passer angelfish. The reason I'm going for a passer angel is because that's one of the fish that is currently in the tank that's up for sale. And I got it. So I got a selection of fish, things like purple tangs and stuff like that, which I know will sell. And I got a fish for myself that I just thought was interesting. And I think I'll probably do that each time. I probably will like get one fish for me, which will be a difficult sell. But I just like it. And again, it's just great. So that's what I've gone for. I know very little about them. They change color. The picture you just showed up there is a juvenile.
The one I'm going to pause there because we were talking about that picture beforehand, and I was saying, they're a bit boring. I'm not that keen on them. Yeah. And you were like, no, look at that photo. Look at that photo. And I was like, no way. There's no way it looks like that. And I've just clicked on it, and that's a hybrid of a clarion and a passer angel.
Oh, so maybe it is cooler.
That is not a passer.
Okay, so that is not what the fish looks like. Let's go back to the other ones then. They are way. It looks nothing like that. That's more of an adult one. The juveniles are like, look how white the light is for that.
Yeah,
I actually think they're really nice. And when
it's like a poor man's regal angel.
Look, we both know you have terrible taste in fish, so there's no point in having your opinion anyway. And Rachel, when she saw it yesterday, who has no experience with fish, went, "That's a really nice fish." So. And she went, I don't really like purple tangs. So she went, they're a bit boring. So I have approval from one other person. So it's 2-1 at the moment with regards to if that's a nice fish.
Shall we? I have a question. I put it earlier.
You're gonna put it in a poll, aren't you?
I don't know.
I don't think people will like it because there's other nicer angelfish. Did you see the adults? However, when you get angelfish, when they grow into adults, often become a bit more like drab colored, but the size of them is impressive enough for you to not worry that they're like slightly less colorful. So a French angel, for example, is like the most boring fish as an adult. Beautiful juvenile. It's got like yellow like semicircles on it, and I think it's like either black or blue. Whereas as an adult, it's literally just grey with some yellow specks on it. But the size of them as adults is impressive enough for you to go, I don't care that it's just a bit drab coloured. And they also have great personality, big angelfish as well.
Yeah, they're like dogs, you said before.
Yeah, I love big angelfish.
Some of them grunt, right?
Yeah, the king eye grunts. When he gets mad.
Oh, you said that. Yeah. He's mad.
Triggerfish do it as well. When I caught the triggerfish, when I got them out of the bag and put them into the tank, they're like properly getting really angry, like clicking.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
I want some pair of triggerfish, but I don't actually do. I'm just going to go back just for 1 second. So Scott says he's put a member question that he put earlier. It's not showing, so post it here and I'll answer it. It's not showing on my membership thing, so I don't know why. But sometimes people post with a link. If you ever post a link in a question or a comment on YouTube, YouTube removes it. So don't ever do that because the YouTuber won't see it. But post it here and I'll answer it. And member for 24 months, Tom. Solid work. Much appreciated.
2 years.
He says, 2 years, I know, yeah. He says, evening, Ryan's expensive basilisk is very alluring. Yeah, and that's about the main topic. Well, let's move on to the main topic. Oh, no, sorry.
Oh, no, let's move on.
No, we got a Coral of the Week first.
I was gonna go for Blastos because you just got an Iron Man Blasto, didn't you? So you can tell us all about this Iron Man Blasto that you drove 300 miles for. I'm basically delegating the Coral of the Week to you.
Here we go. Here's a photo.
They supposedly like very dim light in comparison to what people usually give them. I don't know if you knew this.
Yeah. Well, so what, specifically Iron Man or just generally Blastos?
Blastos in general. So the one I've got in the water box is literally tucked in under a shelf. So it has no direct light at all, which is supposedly what they're like in the wild, apparently.
Yeah, okay. So this is a good photo of an Iron Man Blasto. In fact, I'm not completely sure that's the same as mine. Mine's a bit more like these ones. Oh, I don't know. It's got a bit more colour. So my Blastos I tend to keep in lower light spots. For that reason, and I have a very small Blasto in the Cade that's in. It's not a highlight spot, but it's not as low as it could be, and it's really shriveled. It started doing better recently when I've been feeding it for the last couple of months.
Yeah.
But it's not doing great. But this one, so the guy's tank it was in, mixed reef. I didn't ask him what his par was, but he's growing acros.
Yeah.
And this was on the sand bed, but right in the middle of the sand bed, so not shaded or anything. So it must have been getting reasonable light.
Yeah.
But I plan on keeping it in relatively low light. There's no strong light anywhere in my tank.
Yeah.
But I won't be keeping it in the shade, which is what some people say with Blastos. But
put it in a place where, you know, when the like food goes past the rock work, that's probably the best to place, because then every time you feed, it will get a little bit of something, and it probably makes it a little bit easier than like directly feeding. Yeah. I don't know if you've got a place like that in your tank, but
probably there's a patch of sand where there's a load of Aptasia in the sand. That must be where the food aggregates. So
actually, I wanted to ask you this. This goes back. Remember, I have a coal tank. It poops in the same place. Like it literally. I put it in there, and I'm like, and the next day I'm like, why is there this in the corner of the tank? There is this big mound of green crap, basically. Yeah. And I was like, and I was sitting there watching it, and it's the coal tank. It goes back to that spot, craps, and then swims off. So, and I'm like, because you had one, did it do the same thing?
I didn't ever notice.
I just like, why is it doing that?
But it's like it's got a toilet, like it's got a bathroom. So I've got to go back there to do it. You know,
it was so much so that there's like a mound of it. It became an eyesore how bad this was.
You need to turn your power heads up.
Yeah, possibly, but
yeah, that's funny. No, I didn't ever notice that.
Look,
I mean,
is it Mad Sheeps or Mad Ships?
Mad Ships.
His coal does the same thing.
No Pompey.
To me, he does that.
He does it. Yeah, Tommy Dang as well. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. There you go.
There you go. It seems to be a It's a what type of tangs are they? It begins with C, doesn't it?
Tenocatus. Yeah. Bristle-tooth.
Yeah. Silent C.
Silent C, exactly. Just quickly on the Pompey Reaver. So I'm a Southampton fan, and Pompey are arch rivals. I'm actually so Saints are going to get relegated this season, and potentially will be in the same season.
Oh my god!
As Pompey. So I'm talking to the Pompey Reaver and a few others. I'm desperate for Pompey to get relegated as well, because if they don't, I've got a horrible feeling that Pompey are going to batter Saints next season. So anyway,
there
football chat. So no, I've never noticed that, but a few people say they do the same thing. My kid does that. Yeah. Well, I should bloody hope so. Unless it's just in the corner of the kitchen, maybe.
That's what I'm saying. He's just going in the corner.
Yeah. Where's Scott's question? He said he was going to post a question. Here we go. 1 week old tank, ammonia 0, nitrate 7, nitrite 0.02, phosphate 0.2. Was going to do a water change tomorrow, but with them low levels, should I leave it till parameters rise? I don't want any to take away any good bacteria growing. I'd probably leave it, to be honest, but you don't have to worry too much about removing bacteria when you're doing a water change, because there is bacteria in the water column, but it's not that much, and the most of the good stuff is in the sand bed and on the rocks and all that sort of stuff. So I wouldn't worry about that. But a week old, I wouldn't do a water change. I'd leave it for a few weeks, maybe a month or so, because you want those levels of nitrate. What did you have? Nitrate 7 and phosphate 0.2. 0.2 is probably a bit high for a reef tank, but at the moment, that's good. You want something like that. So I would leave that personally for a few weeks, but keep testing. Don't bother testing nitrite, by the way. It's not toxic to saltwater or to saltwater fish, which is weird because it is in freshwater, but you can throw away your nitrite test kit. Were you laughing? Is there another poo reference in there?
No, the reason I'm laughing is because like it seems to be a thing that like those types of tanks like have a little area they go to, and I wonder if in the reef they're like that. Although they probably are more like swimming long distances in the reef, so it's probably slightly different.
Maybe they're like have you seen American Pie?
Yes, a long time ago.
Yeah, okay. So swear word coming up. I can't remember his name. Shipbreak is one of the characters, and he has to go home to go to the toilet. So maybe the tanks are like that. They've got, when they're miles away, they're like, "Oh God, I'm miles away. I got to go swim back for 20 minutes before I get to find the toilet."
Yeah, I find that. See, this is what I mean. Even after all, this is what's amazing about this hobby. Even after all these years, you still are like, there's something new comes up, and you're like, that's so weird. Why are you doing that?
Yeah. And that's the beauty of it, is because there's always something new happening, always something new and different and weird, and
You'd think that after like I think it's 18 years now, that I'd be something bored. You see what I mean? But
completely.
There's not many things you can do for 18 years every day, every single day for 18 years where you like don't get bored of it. It's like having a second job.
Motorbikes is the only other thing I can think. So
but
totally. And
it's not as interactive a motorbike as a reef tank.
I'll tell you what, I'll put you on the back of my bike, and we'll see how you get on with that. But
I've always wanted to go on a motorbike, but I'm not sure. As in, like, I wouldn't be able to drive one. I don't have a license, but I've always wanted to go on the back of one. But I don't like the idea of having to like hug someone else. I think that would be like too weird for us if you see what I mean.
So I have a bike with a big box on the back that's a backrest, and it's got hand grips that are down by your side, so you don't have to cuddle me. So if you really want, and that's not a particularly fast bike, so if you really want to do it,
I've always wanted to have a go, like just to go on one. But
we'll find you a helmet somewhere, and we'll do it, and then I'll see how I can terrify you.
Yeah.
Another tummy tang.
So I like it's got awkwardly quiet after that conversation.
You're thinking about cuddling me now. I can see it in your eyes. Right, we're going to move on in that case, you pervert. So we're going to move on to. I was going to do news, but no. Let's do the headline topic, which we were just about to segue into. Yes. So, Ryan, what the hell are you talking about?
Okay,
price of fish.
I'm going to start this. What is a dream fish for you? What's a fish you've always wanted?
In the comments and in the chat now, and in the comments afterwards, what is your dream fish? Answer that as well. For me,
because I already know one for you, and but I want to see if that's the one you go for. So what one?
So there's probably a few, but the one that sprang to mind first off, it was a hybrid. I can't remember what it's called. It's the lemon peel crossed with what's it called? There's a hybrid of a lemon peel and oh my heavens, what is it?
Is it a tiger?
Tiger Pygie. Yeah. Tiger Pygie. So they to me are lemon peel angelfish are just the most beautiful fish in the world. They're stunning. There's something. It's just there are lots of yellowfish, right? And at the end of the day, it's just another yellowfish. But there's something about the colouring of the lemon peel that just it gets me. That is a tiger pygie. So that actually might be
you always do this. Whenever you show something that I like, you pick the worst picture.
Yeah,
and then when you pick something that you like, I've seen these in real life. They look nothing like that. They're like really faded. And I was like, when I saw one, I was like, what is even the point of this?
No, I've seen them in the flesh plenty of times, and they are stunning. Barker's Reef has one; it's amazing. I would absolutely love.
Has Barker's Reef got one?
Pygie. Yeah, and that's the one fish that he always says, "I don't care what coral it eats; it's not going anywhere." So
it's funny because now that you've shown me that, even though I went, it's not as nice as you think it is. I'm going. I mean, it is an angelfish, and it is an angelfish thing. So I don't know how much they cost. So they've
probably have got one £500. Oh, out of stock. I was going to say that's cheap. I know it's not cheap, but what fish were you going to say?
Is it Caribbean basslet or the Dijon?
I don't know. I don't know about that one. Yeah, the Cuban basslet, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, the Cuban basslet. So
Cuban basslet.
Now it's interesting. There's like a new. They've bred Cuban basslet, so they've now got a platinum Cuban basslet where they've
a little streak of silver.
Yes, streak of silver on it.
And I've just found both of them.
Yes. Now,
this is a perfect. I know why you said that. This is a perfect example of what you're talking about today.
Yes. Yeah. There are fish that are way cheaper than that. As far as I'm concerned, a Royal Grammer.
Yeah.
Yeah. It has more purple on it. That's like a Royal Grammer that wasn't like fully
developed
coloured in.
Yeah. So this is I've had this moral dilemma, or not moral dilemma, but this internal struggle before. When I've seen the Cuban basslet come up, I've thought to myself, do I just want that because it's a bit different and because it's expensive, or do I actually prefer it to the Royal Grammer? And I genuinely, I would. The only way to answer that question completely is to buy one and see how I feel about it.
Yeah.
And I think it's mostly because I prefer it, but I think it's probably like 60-40. So that Royal Grammar there and the Cuban Grammar there. That silver one, that's really cool. You don't get silver like that very often.
It's only cool because it's like weird.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
The fish probably costs like thousands and thousands of pounds. And it's like a mildly different coloured pink. It's like pink rather than purple. I know you're saying silver, but
I want a Royal Grammar as well. They're so cool. I love them.
Yeah. So
I've had a bad experience with one, but
do you know something that will probably shock you? So of all the fish that have just gone into the tank, the most expensive one is the candy basslet. That is the most disappointing fish probably that I've had. Now I don't know why. I don't know if it's because of I quarantined it. So like in quarantine, you can see it all the time. Whereas it's not one of those fish where you see it occasionally. I know exactly where it is every single day. It's in this little cave. It's not frightened. It comes out for food and everything. It will swim around. Yeah, it just lives there. It just doesn't do that much. So the colors on it, you never see because it just hangs out in the darkness. Now, I've had a Swiss Guard basslet, and in the dark, they look the same. So now with the Pictus Blenny, which is like this brown, smudge of a fish that you would, it's like you would never think of anything like much of it. I love it more than the candy basslet, and the cost difference would be you could probably get like 50 Pictus Blennies for the cost of the, or maybe not. I don't know. I don't know what the exchange rate is for Pictus Blennies to candy basslets, but you know what I mean. Like one of them I absolutely love, and don't get me wrong, I like the fact I have the candy basslet, but I would like it equally if I had the Swiss Guard basslet, and the price difference is huge. So now, to be fair, the candy basslet was bought for me as a Christmas present, but it was only bought for me as a Christmas present because they knew I wanted it. So,
to be fair, that candy basslet is one that would have been, if I'd have thought about it more, that would have been on my dream fish list, because they're just so. And I know that they look the same in the dark as others, but you don't look at fish in the dark. You look at them under the lights, and
of course, if it comes out,
so cool. Yeah, exactly.
It is. Like, don't get me wrong, it is a nice fish. Like it's a very pretty fish. Is it worth like so much more than the Swiss Guard basslet? I would argue probably not. Why did I want that fish? Like, why do you want that fish? Because I've been trying to work that out myself.
Because I think it just looks stunning.
So
those colours are really bright, and
it is a bright coloured fish, as I said, when you see it. But I just. As I said at the beginning, the reason I wanted to get into this is because, like, if you look at the fish I bought a gem tang. Why did I buy a gem tang? I don't really like them that much, if I'm honest. There are nicer fish colors than gem tangs, 100%, and they're cheaper. I would argue a yellow tang is actually much nicer than the gem tang, and they're not that much difference with regards to cost these days. But back in the day, they were like £25.
Yeah.
So. Like I would say, you get a lot more color, and they're basically virtually the same fish.
Yellow tangs are a pretty bright yellow as well.
Yeah.
I'm just going to digress quickly because there are two other fish. There's probably a million, but there are two other fish that I would really like dream fish. One is a Jordan's wrasse, which you can't get anymore because they're Hawaiian.
I don't know what that is.
You must have seen these guys, the red and orange.
Oh, is that Jordan's wrasse? I know the flame wrasse.
That's a flame wrasse, same thing. And the other is a potter's wrasse. Again, they're just man.
But those are sort of cool coloured fish. I'm talking about the fish like gem tangs, which aren't particularly colourful.
Gem tangs aren't particularly colourful, but they are quite bright. Unusual. They're unusual. So you don't get many fish that look like that.
Like spotted,
black with spots, white spots, and a little yellow tail as well. I still like gem tangs. I think they're cool. They're not worth the money.
They were £1,500 when I first started.
Crazy.
And so are they and now it's funny because they've come down significantly. And I wonder if people's desire for them has changed now that they can buy them. Because although it's still expensive for a fish, it's not without outside of the realms of possibility in comparison to a £1,500 fish.
For that, though, my desire went up for that fish because I couldn't afford. There was I could have sold a kidney or whatever, but there was no way I was paying £1,500 for a fish. Whereas when it got down to a reasonable, in inverted commas, price, 550, I was like, okay.
I think I bought it because 17 years ago I said I'll never be able to get one.
Yeah.
So I still have that mental feeling that there's some like this really, really prestigious, crazy expensive fish. Whereas like lots and lots of people have them now. And the reason that people I did a little wrote a little thing down on a bit of paper. And I think the reason that people like these fish, if it's not for the coloration, is because firstly, people get a buzz from spending money. They get like excited. If you spend a lot, if you spend £1,000 on a fish, you're probably more going to get more of a buzz than if you spend £10 on a fish.
Yeah, yeah.
Or £100 on a fish compared to £10 on a fish, if you see what I mean. Because when you spend a lot of money on something, whether it be a fish or like I don't know a watch, or in your case like a handbag. So
I've got a story about handbags to tell you in a second. Anyway,
okay. It makes you feel something. Like it also gives the perception of scarcity. So gem tangs were very rare. Like you did not see them at all originally.
Why is that, Ryan?
Oh, who knows? Who knows? I still don't know the reason, really. So I know the reason. I know why you're asking that as well. You're testing my knowledge, and I've already like.
I'm trying to get you in trouble.
Yes. So they have a like expense gives you perceived scarcity as well. Something that you probably won't have thought of. We're all gamblers. Everything that we do, we are gamblers. If you buy a fish or a coral, which is £100 or £50 or £1,000, yeah, we have no idea if that fish or coral is going to be alive in 24 hours time. Like I could put the candy basilisk in, and the one of the new masked swallowtails could kill it, or whatever. So it's a risk. It's a gamble. Whenever I actually did a video about this, we're basically all addicted to gambling. when we buy fish, because we have no idea if it's going to be alive.
Yeah.
And the bigger the risk when you buy something, the greater the feeling of like adrenaline you get. So I don't know if you agree. I know you're nodding, but I don't know if you're like I think I'm talking absolute rubbish, or if you think this is possibly true.
No, there's definitely something to it. There are times when especially with a fish, if I spend a lot of money, like when I bought that gem tang, I wasn't going away going, yeah, this is amazing, having a real buzz. It was like, oh God, I'm so nervous about this. I've just dropped 500 quid on a fish. That's crazy. And like, if you tell a normal person, a non-fish person, that you spend 500 quid on a fish, they're like, are you insane? And then you show them and they're like, is that it?
Yeah.
So with that, there was a lot of trepidation. But there's absolutely a thing that spending money is like, yeah, it's brilliant. For certain things.
For some people more than others, Alex?
Yeah. But there's sometimes
one of us has a spending addiction, I would say, and if you want to take any guesses, it's the guy who changes his lights all the time.
And one of us has deep pockets and short arms. And snakes in his pockets.
True.
But no, I like spending money. I have to say, I don't. You can't keep fun in the bank, can you? So
this is where we differ.
Yeah. But when it comes to fishing corals, the thing that always stops me from getting that real rush. Like if I buy a new motorbike, it's the best thing ever. The more expensive, the better. Okay. Yeah. But if I buy a new fish or a new coral, all I'm thinking, especially a new coral, if I spend 500 quid on a coral or 200 quid on a coral, all I'm thinking is this could die within an hour. Yeah. And then that's a holiday spent, gone for no reason. And it's like,
I know. After a month,
so that's why it takes the edge off for me.
That I feel like that feeling goes away after like a month. When once you've got used to having the fish, and you've got used to not having the money in your bank account, it almost goes, well, like you're at the mercy of the fish now. You might as well stop worrying about it because there's nothing you can do. Like, but there are things you can do, like not do stupid things, like or put like not quarantine and things like that. But the other things that I thought was this applies more to like cars and stuff. I don't know if it really applies in the fish in hobby, but maybe it does. But the reason it doesn't really apply is because we're sort of like isolated groups of weirdos. It's like social status of having something that's expensive. Like, so if you, but it only really applies if you're putting it on social media. Not because you don't have like hundreds of fish friends, do you? We probably know more fish people than other people. And we know more fish people than other people,
Yeah.
And even the people that we know, we don't know many fish people, do we? I would say it's like a handful of people we know. So I didn't read what that says. I kind of read what that said.
It's Scunny Reefer Rick, and he says expensive fish are reefers' penis extensions.
Basically, yes. That's
Which is what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like a social thing.
Way. Yeah. A flex.
Yeah. So that was, and the other thing is that people often perceive expense as quality, but that doesn't really apply with fish, because like an expensive fish is no more quality, I would say, than a cheaper fish. Although it does apply with regards to fish shops, because an expensive fish shop and a cheap fish shop, I believe that people perceive expensive shops as higher quality. I do believe that. Because they go, oh, I pay that a bit more there because it's a higher quality place to go. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
When the chances are the cheaper fish shop got the fish from the same place as the expensive fish shop.
And maybe it's a one-man band, so they care more and they put more effort in, or
Yeah. So,
but that's because like you get what you pay for, and in life generally, more expensive stuff is better. So that's why. So for example, that I still swear the Hannah digital refractometer. I still, if I was buying again, even though Hannah told me it's more or less the same spec as the Milwaukee price, I would still buy the Hannah one again, because I can't get past. Well, it's more expensive, so it must be better. It can't just be the customer service.
There is also a reason as well for why some fish shops be more expensive than others. And like, for example, some of like a better shop might have more potentially, like if it's a one-man band compared to someone who's got 4 or 5 staff, they need to charge more for their fish. So there is a reason for it, but the actual product itself isn't necessarily better, than another one. So, yeah.
But sometimes it's comforting spending more money on something that's the exact same thing, because you think, well, there must be something better about it, like the Hannah refractometer.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't make any sense.
So that was the first part of talking about this. The other part was, does it make you put more effort in if you have expense? So is there actually a bonus as well to having something expensive in your tank, because you fear losing it a lot more? So if you have a tank full of, and your total spend on fish is £100, or your tank total spend is £1,000 or £3,000 or whatever, you're more likely to have a battery backup for the second tank than the first tank, aren't you? Because the battery backup itself costs more than £100. So you go, well, I might risk it. And should it be like that? Because it shouldn't. Each life should be
life is a life, isn't it? But at the end of the day, you've got to be pragmatic about it. Because for a long time when I started the hobby, I wanted a battery backup. I wanted the Ecotech one, but it was like 220 quid, and I'd already spent a lot of money getting into the hobby, and I didn't feel like I could justify it. But there came a point when it was like, okay, you know what, let's crack on now, and I need to do it. But you can't just say, look, if you've spent £2,000 on a tank, you need to spend another 200 quid on the battery backup, because then it can be okay. Well, you need to spend 200 quid on a battery backup, and you need a UV sterilizer, and you need a better skimmer, and you need, where does the spending end? It's got to stop somewhere. And even though 200 quid for battery backup in the scheme of things is not a lot of money, and you can get it cheaper than that, it's not a lot of money. Still, in the scheme of things, it's not a lot of money. £200, that is a lot of money.
Yeah. I started quarantining specifically because of the king eye. I had an issue with the tank, and then I was too fearful of putting the king eye in it, because I could have lost that when I lost the other fish. So but basically it has completely changed my behavior going forward, and probably will forever now, because I got that fish. So whether quarantine has helped with regards to that, I don't know, but it's So I do think that I don't believe I would still be quarantining if I didn't have that fish, because I wasn't doing it before. So why would I do it now?
Because you had an outbreak of disease.
Yes, yeah.
That's what makes me do it, is I don't want to have another wipeout. But the further removed I get from that wipeout.
Yeah, I had a wipeout probably 15 years ago, and then I had one obviously
15
a
years
year
later.
ago, or like 2 years ago, and so all that time in between I wasn't quarantining. And you're right, as you move further away from it, you become more confident in not doing it. But I don't think that will change now, because once the fish is in there, it's always in there, and I will now be like, well, I have to protect that fish. And they're not just that fish anymore, but also the masked swallowtails and all some. I seem to have gone a bit heavy on fish, I think.
Yeah, I spent a lot of money on fish in the last couple of weeks.
That's why
I've realised how expensive fish are. So for the last 4 months, I don't really pay attention to the price of fish generally anyway, unless I'm going to buy it. So if I'm in a shop, I don't look at a fish and think, right, how much is that? How much is that? If I'm going to buy it, then I do. But if I don't just go, if I'm looking around, I'm not looking at the price. So I'm not really aware of it. But then suddenly, when you start looking at the prices, it's like, bloody hell, these fish are expensive. What was it? So I went looking for an Australian stripey today.
Yeah.
But I couldn't find one. They had some big ones. They did.
Yeah.
But it was, I can't remember how much. It was something like £100, and it's like, that's a lot of money. It's a lot of money, and there were all the fish in there. There were a few other fish in there that I was like, that's cool, and they're all expensive. Like even 50-60 quid just for a bog standard fish.
Yeah.
And it's like, ooh.
I've not been to. It's almost snuck up on us. Well, because I didn't buy fish for so long, I didn't notice and then when you start buying them again, you're like, wow, like it's got crazy out there. Like, I think it will keep a lot of people out of the hobby. I think it will keep a lot of people out of the hobby. I don't know if they'll ever come down. I don't I know they went up because of the cost of flights and things like that, but once people get used to paying a certain level for a fish, why would the people be selling them any cheaper? Why would the shops be selling cheaper? Why would the wholesale? Why would the people catching the fish be selling them cheaper?
Yeah, although the cost of doing business rebounds and goes back down a little bit, you've still got the cost of shipping is still very, very high.
Yeah,
cost of electricity is crazy, and there's still the expenses in the hobby are expensive. So it's not like at the moment there are people selling fish are driving around in Ferraris. I'm sure some are, but most aren't. I
disagree. I'm not sure any of them are driving around in Ferraris.
Yeah, one or two maybe, but that's it. Yeah.
But so it's interesting you said that because you've obviously been continuously buying sort of like, although you're probably more of a coral person where you're like I wouldn't say you were buying fish all the time, but then you had an issue and now you need to restock. Yeah. Exactly. Fish have got like expensive, so but it's part of it,
especially when you get them from Japan.
yeah. I'm not sure they came from Japan, but like I know they're called Japanese masked swallowtails, but yeah, I know.
I think they are, but Simon Bishop wants to go on.
No, as in I think they come from other places that are near Japan. Like they're collected from other places that aren't Japan. But they also live in Japan as well.
Yeah, okay. I'll say konnichiwa to this one and see what happens. See if he turns around and is like, hello. Simon Bishop wants to know my thoughts on mystery wrasses. He knows I had one. Yeah, well, mine died after copper treatment, which pissed me off.
After copper treatments.
So I treated with copper, and then I removed. I can't remember what the copper level was at, but I removed either most or all of the copper, probably most, and it died for. Oh, I was going to say for reasons I don't know. The scarlet hawkfish died as well. But one thing I discovered this week was that the heater I've been using in my quarantine tank is hot garbage. So this was predictable because it came with a freshwater setup. It was the tank, a net, a filter, a light, and a heater for like £12.50 or something. It was cheap. Like, not like cheap for reefing. It was cheap. All in. I can't remember how much it was, but it wasn't expensive at all. And that heater is absolutely horrific. If you've ever bought is it a Superstar? I think it's called fish tank. Throw that heater away right away. It's still a good deal. That tank is still a good deal.
Whoa. I'm convinced one of mine is leaking. It has it has salt creep coming down the side of it. So there's no water anywhere. But there is salt, like a little bit of salt cream. I'm like, where is this coming from? Because I wiped it off and it's back the next day. I don't think it's coming over the top from being splashing. I think it's literally seeping out somewhere.
Miniature or somewhere. You have to re-silicone it. Also
the filter broke as well.
Are you kidding?
So between the two of us, it appears we've got a leaking tank, a broken filter, and a broken heater. So it's not such a good deal, I would say.
There are some. So I bought an Aqua One mini reef. I've had 2 or 3 of them actually, and that is a tank that comes with. You can either buy it just as the tank, or it comes with a skimmer, a light, and a return pump. I think it is.
Yeah.
And if you the when you buy it as a kit with everything, I never did, so I can't actually say. But the quality of the equipment looks horrific. It looks awful, and it's just like there's no way I'm doing that. So, but that's the trouble when you get stuff bundled together, especially if it's cheap. Often there's a reason, and so there you go. So this is but that heater. I texted you a picture the other day, didn't I, of the temperature, and I can't remember what it was, but I think I'd set it to 24 or 25 or something, and it was showing as I'd gone in the morning, and I think it was 20 or 22.
Yeah.
And it was, and I tried to adjust it, and it was all over the place. And so I wouldn't actually be surprised if it was, because bearing in mind overnight at the moment it's winter here, it gets cold. I wouldn't be surprised if the quarantine tank dropped in temperature quite significantly. So I've now put a good heater in there, and it's more or less rock solid, 24.5, something like that.
Yeah.
So now I feel better. And that's one less.
I think that absolutely could have been your problem. Maybe the fish can withstand lower temperatures. Short term. If they're in the bag, for example, when they're being shipped over from somewhere, they can but there's a reason we set our tanks to like 24 to 26 degrees. They're not like cold water fish. So
no.
Long term, maybe it would have an effect.
When you're a fish and you're touching your surroundings, and the atmosphere affects everything about your body. Temperature of the water is suddenly massively important.
Yeah,
it's bad enough for us, but for a fish, it's just completely different. And I wouldn't be surprised actually. So if it was 22 degrees, I'd be surprised if that's causing major problems in the space of a few weeks. But if it's going down to like 18 overnight or something, then that's probably not doing it any favors. So I threw that away, and I've put in a new one. But so the mystery wrasse, back to the question, the mystery wrasse, really cool fish. And until I put it in the freezer, basically, I had no problems with it. The only thing with it is I had started to question whether I want one, because in researching whether or not, because some fish are sensitive to copper, right? So you've got to, anytime you treat a fish for copper, you've got to look that particular fish up. Does this exact fish respond well to copper? And most fish are fine, but like fairy wrasses don't do it at all. Pipefish don't do it at all. They'll die. Clownfish, no problem, whatever. So when I looked up mystery wrasses, I was researching them, and I started to find they were fine with copper, so that was okay. But there were people who were saying these guys actually can get quite aggressive. They're the same genus as the 6-line wrasse, which is notoriously aggressive.
Yeah.
And apparently they're not as aggressive as them, but they can get aggressive when they were older. So I was already starting to think, maybe when I've quarantined him, I should sell him, because he hadn't been aggressive. But if that's what's coming 2-3 years down the line, so mine was fine, completely fine, and they're a beautiful fish, a color you don't get very often. But I did just start to question, is it going to be aggressive? But I'm a wimp when it comes to aggression. I don't like anything. So
just in general,
just generally. Have you had mystery wrasse?
I've never had a mystery wrasse, but they are nice. That's another fish where the cost of them originally was like 60 quid or something when I started. Now they're like a lot, I think.
150 plus. I don't even know. So, this is the thing. I don't know how much fish costs, but they're expensive.
I wondered if I don't know if you would think this would be worth doing. Every so often when we're doing a live stream, I come up with like a thought of another live stream, and it could be like, what makes you buy a fish? It's because it could be a whole range of different reasons why people. The reason that I thought this is because you went, I don't want one because it can't survive in copper, and if I'm quarantining them, so that your fish list is now based on whether it can survive in copper. So I don't know if that would be an interesting stream or not.
Yeah, that's partly. I'm still going to buy some pipefish at some point.
Yeah,
and they won't survive copper, so I won't treat them with copper. But I'll just observe them for a month or so. So
yeah, they're cool pipefish. The dragon pipefish. I don't think I'd go for any of the others.
I think I'll go for the dragon pipefish because they're the most hardy, and supposedly they're better in flow. Because I can't remember what they're called, blue stripe pipefish. I think when you turn in normal flow, they're fine in an LPS tank, so low. But when every now and then I turn the power heads up just to get all the detritus off the sand or whatever, and it's like a leaf in the wind. They've got zero defense, completely useless, and all the other fish are fine. So it's quite, I don't know about that. But the candy pipefish are my favorite pipefish. They're just so stunning.
I'm trying to think what the candy pipefish are.
They're like red and orange striped.
Yes, I'm 99% sure I know what they are.
They're absolutely amazing, and you often get them in pairs.
Yeah,
Here we go.
I don't like those very much.
Yellow and red, maybe. Do you not like them? Oh, they're amazing.
I think that the dragon ones have, I think, more character. They hook onto things as they're like elongated seahorses. So they actually use their tail to like hook onto things. Not like hook on, but like And you see them going in and out of the corals, whereas those probably are a bit more like floating around. They're like totally. You had some blue ones, didn't you, as well before?
The blue striped pipefish,
yeah.
They were the ones. As soon as you turn the power heads up,
yeah.
It was frightening actually. They were so pathetic. Sorry, fish.
Because they're probably in an environment they're not meant to be in. They're probably not meant to be in the reef tank. Well, none of them
completely. Yeah. But that, to be fair, they were fine all the time. It's just there was one time I turned the power heads up. I was like, let's just see what it's like, and suddenly it was like, oh my god, don't do that again. But would you? So Ben Malloy says he's got a Red Sea Max Nano, which is roughly the same size as the tank. Being a smaller tank, would you recommend it filled with mostly Goniopora, or would that look stupid? I have a pair of clowns. It would look amazing.
Yeah.
Some gonnies can be really long tentacled. I've got two red gonnies in my tank, very, very similar color. One of them behaves like a normal gonnie. The other one, the polyps are like 6 feet directly up in the air. That's it. Really weird. So they're sometimes, and that would potentially look a bit silly. But at the end of the day, any nano tank, when any coral grows out, it's going to be too big. But gonnies, I would not say they would look too silly. They're fiddly. Don't, just because you see lots more people having success with them, don't think they're not still fussy. For me, they're up there with torches. Lots of people will be fine with them, but lots of people also have problems. And I still have problems with gonnies, and sometimes I've got literally no idea why. Even when I'm testing,
which is once a month apparently.
But I would put gonnies in a small tank for sure.
They're one of those corals actually that you can have a tank just full of those and it looks cool. If you had a tank just full of Goniastria or just full of war corals, they probably wouldn't look that, but a group of gonnies is one of those things where you go, that would work.
That's the one thing with the Cade. I really like that tank, but there isn't much flowy movement. I've got some flowy corals, but they're quite tight polyps, so you don't really get the proper movement. So and if I had a couple of gonnies in there, which is why I'm kind of hoping if the bubble tip anemones disappear, I'll replace them with gonnies, because then that will really add the.
It's funny because you really observe and really think about your tank. Whereas I don't look at that tank and go, oh yeah, I need some more flow, like some waviness in there. I'm like, yeah, that'll do. I'll put that there.
But I'm obsessed with tinkering. I always want to, in my head, I want to make stuff like 1% better all the time. And it's not actually better. It's just 1% different. But I'm never happy with something. I'll have something that is perfect, whether it's a house, a car, a fish, whatever.
Mrs. Reef Dork, I know she listens. Quick, say it.
But she's an exception to this, so I'm not going to say it, because within 6 months, I'm like, actually, it is a nice car, but you know what? I think I'd rather have a 4-wheel drive car, or I'd rather have,
I'm glad you saved that.
Exactly, it'd be something slightly different, and I get bored of it, so I need to change it. So that's why I always play around. Although I would say you did the lights shot, which was a cheap shot, but I don't change them anymore.
No, I know.
I'm a changed man. So
you found perfection, didn't you?
I did. So. And it's been. I'm pretty sure that's going to stay the same, but maybe in a year's time I'll be like.
Would you know what I was thinking a couple of days ago? I was thinking if I was going to change my lights on the water box, I wonder if I'd just get Reef Dork to do them, as in to go. This is what you need. Put these on, and you'll be happy.
Kessels and AI blades.
I don't know. Maybe it'd be a huge expense just to try it. If you see one, I might not even like it.
No, totally.
But sometimes I think about it. I do. I don't know.
Interesting.
The geoshell, I don't mind them. They're a bit difficult to change. The light is very white on them, and because they're difficult to change, I don't. It ramps up a little bit, ramps down a little bit. It probably could do a lot more. If someone could log into the system and do it for me, it'll probably be great. But
yeah, so the Kessels are also, I find they're difficult to change because the interface is quite difficult to use. When you get used to it, it's fine.
yeah,
But you
that's why I
don't
said
play.
I'll get Reef Dork to do it.
Yeah, but you don't
That's
touch it for 6 months, and then when you go back to it, it's like I can't remember it now. The Red Sea ones, the app's really good, much better.
Yeah,
The Kessel, that's the one. One of two things I don't like about the Kessel is that the app is just, or the controller is, I can never remember. So I'll touch it 6 months later, and it's like, how does this work again?
I like the white lights because the white lights bring out all the proper colors of the fish.
Yeah,
like on the, so I wouldn't change that setting during the day at all. Not 1% would I change it, because the corals look a bit less colorful, but I don't care, because like the king eyes is like stripes, and the on it, it's like, this is really a fish tank. But what I would like is just in the evening have, like, when the blue lights come on, have that.
Yeah. But so Kessel brings out colors in fish like nothing else.
Yeah.
And the AI blade. So I don't change my Kessels ever really, but the AI blades, they give you the blue, and I changed. Mobius is really easy now, which I didn't used to like it. It's grown on me a lot. Mobius is really easy to use, and you play with the blades in 2 seconds. And with the blades, there's only 3 colors: blue, royal blue, and white. So it's like, it's not like you've got 7 channels to play with.
So maybe that's another thing. You could almost just change it so that you added the blades, and then have those on at night.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Because I actually don't like shimmer. So if I tried to go down the Kessel route, I'd be like, oh, I got shimmer. I don't like it.
The blades take the edge off the shimmer, but if there's no point spending that money, if the only thing you want is a bit of blue, get some AI blades, and then it's easy to program in. It's not as expensive. You don't have to change all your lights. You still, and the GHL are good lights still, so you don't have to change lights for no reason and lose a good light.
There's nothing wrong with them. Look, the chances are, if I sat down for like an hour or 2 hours, I could work out what I needed to do, and it probably wouldn't be as bad. It's just like there's this barrier to entry for me changing the lights, and I'm like, I'm not willing to do that. I'm just it's fine at the moment. The corals are living. I don't want to change it to something that, like, where I've accidentally screwed it up. So I'm not very technical, as you know.
No, but and GHL are the least non-tech people friendly as well. So like Mobius is actually really good. It's really easy. Yeah. So, and the Red Sea one's even easier because you've got a blue channel and a white channel. Yeah. The downside of that is you can't separate the blues out, so you don't get the deep blue in the evening.
I thought that was too simplistic for me with the Red Sea. Like, I couldn't get them to look how I wanted when I had them. Like, because just those two, like, I'm not even sure. I couldn't even tell you what I was missing. Like, is there another color that I'm missing?
No, I agree. And actually, when I've had just Kessels in the past, it's not enough. I want the blues either side as well. So, anyway, we need to do news. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about on the point of fish? No. Right, let's do news. Has anyone tried those cheap pop bloom lights? I haven't, but they look very similar to the Red Sea one, so I don't know if they are the same. But we'll see. And actually, the electrician I mentioned at the start, was changing lights in this room.
Oh, so you are changing lights? You're not a changed man
in the house. So I've Philips Hue. I love Philips Hue. So I was getting them in the scene. I've got spotlights in here, but they're so bright and harsh. I never have them on, so I swapped them over for Philips Hue and Philips Hue.
You're so funny. You like tinker with everything.
I know.
Like, I wouldn't even change if one of the light bulbs went out. I wouldn't even change it. I'd be like, oh, I'll wait till all the rest of them go out.
Yeah. No, I know. I'm good with everything. Right. What else? Oh yeah, news. Yeah, we've done the news jingle. Did we do the news jingle? We did. Yeah. Okay. So news. Shuffle the papers. Right. There's no brown gobies for you this week, Ryan. So we're just gonna have to power through with what we've got.
Okay.
So Nios has launched 4 new bottles of stuff.
Okay.
We talked the other week about how reefing companies aren't very good at naming products. Tropic Marine, for example, Elimi NP is a product that is carbon dosing that reduces nitrate and phosphate. You would have no Elimi NP. That's like what? You would have no idea. It's a bit of a mixed bag.
I'm assuming that stands for eliminate nitrate phosphate.
Exactly. So when you know about it, it makes a bit of sense. But then the other products are called like Bactobalance. which does the same thing, but from a different. It's like, what? That doesn't make sense. Anyway,
Yeah.
It's a mixed bag with NIOS. Some of them easy, spot on. So, for example, coral dip. They brought out a coral dip.
Easy.
I know what that does. I don't even need to look at it. I know what it does. Clear solution. Okay. It's sensitive corals. It's chemicals. But if you like NIOS stuff and NIOS.
For me, you've frozen, by the way. I don't know if that's for everyone, but it just sort of cut out for like 15 seconds. You're like really blurry.
Yeah, my connection is unstable at the moment, so we're gonna have to just see. But we'll crack.
Because I can't hear you. So if I'm not responding, that's I literally don't know why. As in, I don't know what you're saying.
Fair enough. We'll crack on anyway.
Yeah.
So what I was just about to say is that NIOS are generally a pretty good company, and they make good stuff. So their coral dip is likely to be good, I would say. And they think about stuff. They don't just release any old nonsense. The next thing, amino.
I guess there's amino acids.
Yeah, it's amino. I'm going to pronounce that. Again, that's fine. I don't like it when
it's pronounced amino.
Amino. It is, yeah. Amino. I don't like it when people like, and this is really, everybody does this, when people change, like they spell stuff wrong because it's like edgy and cool. So I don't like that. But at the end of the day, that's amino acids. I know what it is. Nice and easy. And again, if you want amino acids, there's another option.
I can feel you're about to be critical about something.
This is the worst name. Liquid. Lick spelled Lyq. Liquid. Like red? Liquid.
Is it meant to be liquid red? I'm not sure what that is. Okay.
Maybe the liquid is actually red. I don't know. It's a coral food, okay? But to be fair, it's called liquid coral food. So, the clue's in the question there. But again, deliberately misspelling something because it's edgy and cool. It's everybody does it. Samsung, Apple, everybody.
Yeah.
I hate it. So I'm not, I can't begrudge NIOS because everybody in the world does it, but I don't like it.
I don't understand what the LYQ stands for. Is that meant to be liquid? But
I think that's what it's supposed to be. L.Y.Q. I don't know. And to be fair, what I would say is my second channel is called Reef Dork Extra, and I've misspelled extra. So
have you?
I'm XTRA. I've missed off the E because it's like edgy and cool and like
not good.
So I've fallen into my own trap. Hoist by my input. And the final one, biotic.
Some sort of bacteria.
I actually didn't read this one. Supercharged probiotic solution for vibrant corals and a balanced ecosystem.
I still don't know what that is.
It's a bottle of stuff that you pour in your tank and it fixes everything, Ryan.
I'm assuming it's probably encourages healthy growth of bacteria.
So I've heard a lot of talk about probiotics, but I don't really understand it. Yeah, by introducing beneficial bacteria, it helps improve water quality. That to me, that's the one thing that I look at and I think that just maybe it does do good stuff. I'm sure, and NIOS again are a good company. They don't just sell nonsense. But that to me is the one thing of that list I would say don't bother putting that in your tank. Well, actually, to be fair, all of it, but that in particular,
don't put the coral dip in the tank. That's like I'll stand with you for that one.
In particular, that sort of stuff, like. I don't know. We've got by okay with all that without all that sort of stuff for a while. But anyway, if you want probiotics, then now you can buy NIOS. Biotic. There you go. That is the bottle news. The other news is a delay, Ryan, and you're going to be sad about this because this is a piece of equipment that you were looking forward to getting, but now you've got to wait. It's the Mastertronic Essentials, which measures the 5 key parameters: nitrate, phosphate, alkalinity, calcium, and magnesium, which actually I think is a really, that's
useful.
That to me, that's exciting. Yeah. Because Mastertronic have got a good reputation as well.
But, I know, but I don't trust any automated testing anymore.
No, this is true.
I just don't. I'd rather do it myself. I think, and also it's sort of first that looks like it'll be massive. Look, I've seen the Mastertronics before; they're huge. So they're not like inside the cabinets; they're like next to the tank. And then you're looking at a tank with this big box next to it, which is not subtle, orange.
Yeah.
So look, I shouldn't say anything like bad if you see what I mean, but like, and if it works, and if it genuinely works with very, very minimal maintenance, where you'd have to calibrate things and stuff like that, great, sign me up. But they're never like that.
No, And in terms of the size, it is big, but it's smaller than the Reef bot, which is even bigger.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think that looks good. But there's been a delay of 1 to 2 months, and they've not said it. This happens a lot in our hobby because our hobby is quite small, and the companies we're dealing with aren't Apple and Samsung and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
You get these little delays and stuff, and things get pushed back. GHL had it with the Ion Director. Reef Factory have had it with the Smart Tester. Now Mastertronic. I don't know what caused it, but anyway, it says 1 to 2 months. If it is only 1 to 2 months and that doesn't get extended, that's not too bad. And they've said that if you've pre-ordered it, you'll get a free gift.
They've not said no specification of what it is.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But yeah, you get a free gift. But there you go. So if you've ordered one and you're sitting there going, "Come on, I'm getting it this week," I got sour news for you, Jack.
Yeah.
There's going to be a delay. So that's about all of the news. I couldn't find anything else, Ryan.
No gobies.
I'll play us out. No gobies. No, very disappointing. There was some other stuff, I think, but there was nothing that was interesting. So I'm going to end there.
Still using me this week.
Sorry,
you disappointed me because like the news is one of my favorite sections of this because I actually learn stuff. Yeah. I'm like, oh, there's a new thing, and then you went, here's some equipment, and here's another dry good, and I'm like,
yeah,
the fish stuff.
There wasn't really anything particularly interesting this week.
Earlier, just very quickly, you asked people to put their favorite fish in, like, or their dream fish. And I forgot to mention this at the time. I noticed that they are all like, a lot of them are like crazy priced fish, like banded angelfish and things like that. So, and again, banded angelfish look cool, but do they look cooler than a regal angel? And no. If you put them together and they were the same price and they were the same, just as common as each other, which would you pick?
I would pick the regal angel, but the bandit angel is very different looking.
Yes, yeah, I agree.
And still looks very cool. It's not just like a reversed Royal Grammar. They are. They are cool.
I know what you mean.
And I think a normal person as well, not a fish person, would say, "Oh, that's a cool fish." So
yeah, the thing I've noticed about fish as well is that people have really, really different tastes. Like you have. Because I see quite a lot of tanks. One of my customers got a Singapore angel and a cream angel the other day, and I was like, I even said to them, I said, of all the angels you could have picked, it was a Koran angel. I was like, of all the angels you could have picked, why go for an emperor, or you can go for, and it's probably listing. So I'm not like bashing your fish choices; they're just not my choices. And trust me, I bash Alex's fish choices all the time.
Yeah, it's funny how different people take. There are some fish that I just think are amazing. Like the
you feel like you get a feeling. You're like, I need that. Whereas I don't feel that about. I know what you're about to say. Yeah, you said the whitetail coal tang. I don't feel that way about a whitetail coal tang.
That to me is just such an amazing fish. I love them. But then, like, I made a video about it, and everyone's like, well, not everyone, but 50% of people are like, yeah, it's all right. So, are you kidding me? It's amazing.
It's a subtle. I think the longer you're in the hobby, you're looking for more subtle things, and I think to some extent you're looking for rarer things.
Probably, yeah, things you haven't seen before, yeah. But I still like colour. So I got a yellow wrasse and a scarlet hawkfish this week, partly because I don't really have much colour in my tank at the moment. I want a splash of colour, which is very simple.
Yeah.
But yeah, have you got anything else you wanted to say, Ryan?
No, we're at the end, I think, as well. So
okay, you sound tired all of a sudden.
No, I had the toilet, so I'm just like, please, just stop talking.
You need to go in the same spot like your coal tank. Well, in which case, we won't keep you any longer. Thank you all for watching, guys, and we'll be back next week.
See you later.